in the heart of the unforgiving woods, Adam, a solitary hunter, found himself entangled in a dance with the unknown. His senses, finely tuned by years of solitary pursuits, picked up eerie echoes across the forest sounds that were both otherworldly and desperate. Despite the cautionary whispers in his mind, curiosity triumphed over fear, propelling him forward step by cautious step. The eerie sounds led him to a chilling discovery: a bear ensnared in a cruel trap, its massive form bound by chains and barbed wire, barely recognizable amid its agonized cries with every futile struggle. Adam's heart raced as he stood face to face with the suffering creature. Normally, such a sight might have thrilled him a hunter's dream encounter. But this was no hunt, this was torment. The bear's eyes pleaded for mercy, its distress palpable. Pushing aside his initial hesitation and overriding the lingering fear, Adam approached the bear with care. Each strained breath and pained growl only intensified his resolve. Surveying the intricate network of snares and wires ensnaring the bear, Adam realized mere kindness wouldn't suffice. With steady hands and a heavy heart, he began the arduous task of dismantling the grisly trap, knowing it would take hours to free the creature from its nightmarish prison. As he cautiously approached, the bear reacted with a swift swipe, a desperate defense against what it perceived as yet another threat from the hunter. In a startling move, Adam disarmed himself, setting aside his hunting gear and weapons, the only defenses he possessed. It was a gesture of peace, a vow that he meant no harm. Gradually the bear's agitation ebbed. Having encountered enough hunters in its lifetime to recognize danger when weapons were present, the bear seemed to understand that this human posed no immediate threat with empty hands. There was a glint of recognition in its eyes, a silent understanding forming between them. Yet this acknowledgement didn't erase the danger Adam faced. Any reasonable person would shy away from such proximity to a large, unpredictable beast. But Adam couldn't resist. The hunter, once pursuing these creatures for sport, now stood face to face with the very scars of his pastime, and it pained him deeply. With careful precision, Adam began freeing the bear from the snare, each strand resisting, as if unwilling to release its grip. The air thickened with the scent of fear and the metallic tang of blood staining the bear's fur. Every movement carried uncertainty and risk, yet one by one the chains fell away with a hollow clatter. Turning his attention to the barbed wire, Adam discovered it had already started cutting into the bear's flesh. The animal's cries grew more intense as Adam painstakingly removed each twisted strand. He felt the bear's muscles tense with every careful tug, navigating through the wire with gentle determination to avoid further harm. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Adam's shoulders, yet he felt no remorse for his choice. As the last piece of barbed wire was carefully removed, the bear, finally liberated from its agonizing bonds, slumped wearily to the ground. Adam stepped back, a wave of sorrow washing over him as he took in the extent of the bear's wounds. Deep gashes marred its fur, punctuated by where the wire had torn into its flesh. The bear's once powerful limbs were now bruised, swollen, and feeble, a stark contrast to the untamed wilderness it once embodied. The harsh reality of each cut he made was a painful revelation, laying bare both the cruelty of the traps and the consequences of his actions. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of success, all now paled in comparison to the living, breathing aftermath before him. Kneeling beside the bear, Adam extended a hesitant hand, filled with remorse. "I'm sorry this happened to you," he murmured, the words heavy with regret. Weary and exhausted, the bear responded by leaning into Adam's touch, perhaps the first kindness it had known in a long while. Minutes passed before the bear gathered the strength to move. Adam watched as the animal struggled to rise, refusing to abandon it to its fate. He knew other hunters, less merciful than he, would cross its path, or worse, the wilderness might claim it. To his surprise, the bear, trusting in Adam's goodwill, began to follow him through the woods, a fragile bond formed between man and beast amidst the quiet of the forest. As they neared his secluded cabin, Adam reached for his phone, dialing the number of a local wildlife clinic with urgency. He pleaded for immediate assistance, and swiftly a team was dispatched to assess the bear's condition. Upon arrival, they tranquilized the bear and conducted a thorough examination. It became clear the bear had endured days of agonizing entrapment, starved, in pain and isolated. Infections had taken hold, necessitating careful stitches to prevent further harm. Without prompt intervention, the bear faced the grim possibility of losing a limb. Together, they gently loaded the bear onto a specialized transport vehicle and arrived at the clinic within half an hour. There, veterinarians and wildlife experts worked in tandem to provide the urgent care the bear desperately needed. Wounds were meticulously cleaned, antibiotics administered, and precise stitches applied to close the gaping injuries. To Adam's dismay, the experts shared a troubling revelation: this bear was not an isolated case. Over recent weeks, reports had surfaced of other wildlife suffering similar, if not identical, injuries indicating a pattern of deliberate cruelty, likely at the hands of the same perpetrator. Learning of other, innocent animals enduring such suffering ignited a fire within Adam. Anger surged, transforming him from a hunter in the woods to a determined advocate for justice. He vowed not only to save this bear, but to pursue those responsible for these heinous acts. In the days that followed, the bear remained heavily sedated and closely monitored at the clinic. Adam, now an unexpected ally in the bear's recovery, visited regularly. He was informed that without his timely intervention, the bear might not have survived another day. While he found solace in knowing he had helped bring the bear to safety, his conscience still grappled with lingering guilt.
As the bear slowly regained its strength, discussions at the clinic turned to the possibility of releasing it back into the wild once fully recovered. Adam adamantly opposed this idea, arguing there was no sense in returning the bear to its habitat while a threat still loomed. The risk of it falling prey to another trap would render all their efforts in vain. Though sympathetic, the clinic staff explained they lacked the space and resources to house the bear indefinitely. Without hesitation, Adam took it upon himself to race against time, driven by the urgency to apprehend the culprit before the bear could be released. Armed with evidence gathered by the clinic, he brought his findings to local authorities, animal control, and even his hunting community. Unified in shock and outrage over the malicious acts, the hunting community agreed unanimously to suspend their activities temporarily. They pledged to report any suspicious activity in the forest, hoping to aid in identifying the perpetrator. Meanwhile, law enforcement officials launched investigations into the reported incidents, collaborating closely with animal control to coordinate their efforts. Adam received assurances that every possible measure would be taken to catch the culprit and end the spree of cruelty. News of the incident spread rapidly, prompting mounting pressure on local authorities to intervene. Despite the community's support, Adam felt the weight of responsibility squarely on his shoulders. He installed surveillance cameras in key hunting areas, hoping to catch any suspicious activity. But as days turned into nights, the footage yielded no clues, frustrating his efforts. It seemed the tormentor had vanished without a trace, eluding capture. Then, one restless night, Adam was jolted awake by a rustling sound outside his window. Instinctively alert, he peered into the darkness and glimpsed a figure slipping into the trees. Adrenaline surged as he realized this might be the breakthrough he needed. Without hesitation, he grabbed a flashlight and pursued the fleeting silhouette into the heart of the woods, determined to unmask the antagonist and bring an end to the reign of terror gripping his community. The figure moved ahead with an eerie grace, almost supernatural in its fluidity, disappearing and reappearing like a phantom. Abruptly, the rustling ceased, leaving Adam in a chilling silence amidst the towering trees. A faint glow ahead caught Adam's eye, a clearing illuminated by a lantern's soft light. The remnants of a fire still smouldered, the scent of burnt wood lingering in the air. As he approached, discarded tools lay scattered: a pair of wire cutters, coils of barbed wire, a toolkit eerily similar to those used in the animal attacks. His heart raced as he pieced together the evidence, realizing he was on the brink of uncovering the perpetrator. Adam reached for his phone, capturing every detail of the campsite as proof. Each photo and note meticulously documented the scene, ensuring the authorities had irrefutable evidence. Just as he prepared to leave, a twig snapped, freezing him in place. Silently, he doused his flashlight, shrouding himself in darkness, holding his breath as footsteps drew near. A man emerged from the shadows, moving toward the campsite, oblivious to Adam's presence. Waiting until the intruder settled at the fire, Adam lunged forward, catching him off guard. They wrestled briefly, the dark-clothed figure struggling to break free, but Adam held fast, driven by a fierce determination to prevent further harm to animals. In the end, Adam subdued the perpetrator, overpowering him with unexpected strength. He swiftly called the police, directing them to meet at his cabin, then marched the man back through the woods toward justice, ensuring that the torment of innocent wildlife would come to an end. As Adam emerged from the shadows with the captured perpetrator, the awaiting police officers swiftly took charge, ensuring a secure transfer of the criminal into custody. Thanks to the collaborative efforts of Adam, law enforcement, and humane officers, their plan proved effective. Now facing the consequences of his actions, the perpetrator reluctantly guided the officers through the woods, dismantling the remaining traps. Whether driven by guilt or a desire to lessen his charges, he cooperated in disarming each one. When they reached the last trap, relief washed over Adam, the police force, and the animal control officers. No more animals had suffered. As the sun rose, casting a gentle light over the once troubled woods, Adam stood amidst the clearing. The perpetrator was led away to face justice for his crimes, while the bear and other wildlife victims were safely returned to their natural habitat. A profound sense of relief enveloped Adam as he witnessed life returning to the forest. The creatures roamed freely once more, undisturbed by the threat that had plagued them. Meanwhile, the criminal's fate was sealed as he confronted the judicial system, facing 5 counts of animal cruelty under the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture Act (PTIT). During the trial, the severity of his offences became undeniable. The judge handed down a harsh sentence: 7 years for each count, totaling 35 years behind bars. In the following months, the community united, determined to prevent such atrocities from recurring. They launched a local initiative advocating for humane trapping and hunting practices. Responding to public outcry, the local government enacted new policies to safeguard the forest's integrity and protect its wildlife. With these reforms in place, the community began to heal. The once tormented woods flourished again, triumphing over cruelty. Adam found solace in the positive changes that had taken root, knowing that their efforts had made a lasting difference for the forest and its inhabitants. The bear, now liberated from the scars of captivity, wandered the woods alongside its fellow creatures, restored and free. As the seasons turned and the forest began to heal from its wounds, Adam made regular visits not as a hunter anymore, but as a guardian. The tale of the bear, Adam, and the community stood as a testament. Even in the darkest times, there is always a dawn waiting to break through. It's a story of redemption and hope, reminding us of the power of compassion over indifference. If I were faced with Adam's choice to act with compassion or turn away, I would choose compassion without hesitation. Every creature deserves kindness and protection, and by taking action, we can make a positive impact on the world around us. This story inspires us to be vigilant guardians of nature and advocates for those who cannot speak for themselves. What about you? What decision would you make in Adam's shoes and why? Share your thoughts below, and if you found this story uplifting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring tales.